Hey Facebook, Tim Anderson. Good morning. Hope everyone is doing well. Big news from Chesapeake last night. I'm sure you have seen it on Facebook and on social media, but Chesapeake declared itself a Second Amendment constitutional city rather than a sanctuary city, which is a interesting take on things that they say they want to uphold all of the constitutional rights, not just the Second Amendment rights. And as I was part of that last night, I was thinking about something that's really been on my mind for a while. And I know I've been just doing Second Amendment videos, but there is something much bigger going on in Richmond. There is a collective intent to turn the moral fabric of Virginia into what looks like California. The Second Amendment is completely under assault. We know that. We've seen it. There's tons of evidence of that in the Virginia Senate. But there are other things going on here, and I just want to point them out to you. I think they're equally things that we should be talking about, and I think we should be as offended by what else is going on in Richmond to transform what's happening, and certainly worth a letter to your delegate and senator, and I hope that you would consider that. So let's talk about Senate Bill 21. I talked about this one time at one of the council member meetings, but in Virginia currently, a minor can get an abortion, all right, either with her parents' consent or with a judicial override, which basically means that if the minor goes to the parent and wants the abortion, the minor can go to court and the judge can make a decision. Now, I'm not trying to advocate for or against abortion, but there's a safeguard there, okay? There is a parent and then there's a judge. And whether you like it or you don't like it, that's how it's been. They're trying to eliminate that in Senate Bill 21. They're trying to take away any kind of requirement for a parent to have consent, for a minor to get an abortion, and a judge to do a judicial override. They want to let a 14-year-old girl walk into Planned Parenthood and get an abortion with nobody knowing about it. That is outrageous. A 14-year-old, 15-year-old, even a 16-year-old there should be some safeguards about that. And there have been. We heard last year Delegate Tran talking about abortion, and she said you should be able to abort a child moments before its birth. There should be absolutely no restrictions. And that is happening now again in Richmond, and we are seeing this happen. And so eliminating a parent's ability to engage their child on an abortion, and then eliminating a judge to have an ability to weigh in on whether that child can do that, just letting the child go in there with no supervision is what Senate Bill 21 proposes. Senate Bill 32, talk about this one, makes it illegal to corporally punish your child. Now, the Supreme Court of the United States has said that parents have the ability to spank their children, okay? And they've ruled on this. And many people like to use some type of an object. I'm not saying like to use, but generally will use some type of an object like a belt or, some kind of a spoon. Now, we're not talking about beating a child, but just to be able to exercise some type of discipline over your child. As the Bible says, spare the rod, spoil the child, right? Senate Bill 32 makes it illegal to do that if it causes pain to the child. So we're seeing Senate Bill 32 come out that is going to take away a parent's ability to exercise any corporal punishment on a child. I'm not talking about child abuse. I'm talking about legitimate parental punishment, which is allowed and found by the United States Supreme Court. We're allowed to do that as parents. So Senate Bill 32, illegal to punish your child with any kind of an object if it causes pain. Senate Bill 64, they want to eliminate the photo ID requirement of voters. That is something to really understand. We hear this a lot, photo IDs, all this stuff. If Senate Bill 64 passes, you will be able to go into your voter your local to vote with a utility bill. No identification whatsoever of who you are, but with a utility bill that has your name on it. Well, it might not even be your name. That's kind of the point. It's just a name on it and an address. And if that matches the register of the local elector, then you're going to be allowed to vote. No photo identification requirement under Senate Bill 64. And then 104. Now listen, I'm not a super vaccine kind of a parent. All of my children have been vaccinated. I'm just going to say that. But Senate Bill 104 is going to take away the parent's ability to decide whether a child can get a vaccine at age 14 years old or older. So if they're going to say children can make their own medical decisions. And that is, as long as they can understand it as good as an adult can understand it, is essentially what the bill says. So what you're seeing between Senate Bill 104 and Senate Bill 21 is basically saying minor children, 14 years old, should be able to make all of their own medical decisions. Parents should have no say in it. And I want you to see these things and know what's happening. The Second Amendment is under attack, but it's not just that. It is a fabric change. They are trying to turn Virginia into some ultra blue, super progressive state. And I hope that the audience that watches all of my gun videos will weigh in on what's happening and will say no. No. Parents have to have the ability to decide whether their children are going to get a vaccine. And if it's wrong and they're making the wrong decision, then a judge should be able to weigh in on that, not letting the 14-year-old child make that decision. If you're going to vote, you should have to have a photo ID. I mean, we went to city council yesterday to speak on the Second Amendment, and we had to have a photo identification to get into the chamber to be able to speak to city council. But when we're voting, we could walk in with a utility bill. I wonder if they would have let me in yesterday with a utility bill. Corporal punishment of a child, out the window if Senate Bill 32 comes in. That's outrageous. And again, I'm not an advocate of child abuse. I'm not saying we should be, beating children or anything like that. But there is a parental exception to disciplining your children, and they're trying to take that away. And then finally, going back to the first one, Senate Bill 21, letting a minor walk into an abortion clinic and get an abortion with nobody knowing about it. Not the courts, not the parents. That's what they're trying to do. Share the video, Virginia. Let people know what's going on, and hopefully these will get the traction that the Second Amendment videos have gotten. I'm still going to be talking about Second Amendment stuff, but I want you to see what's actually really happening in Richmond. Have a good day, guys.